You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.
Hey, welcome back to Ask the Master Auto Technician. I'd like to thank Interstate Batteries and Gail Kimbrell for coming down here for Interstate Batteries and listening to Ask the Master Auto Technician. I also like, he's a sponsor, and I would like to also thank John Johnson, who's a sponsor of this show. He's been a sponsor for a long time. Now, John, before we had commercial come up, you wanted to say you have someone working new at your place of employment?
Yeah, we have a new rep in the office. Of course, Doug Quilling's been in there with us for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Doug. Okay, I know who Doug is. Yeah.
Doug is a former PGA golf professional.
Yes. Really good too.
excellent teacher at the golf stuff, and he's a real good financial advisor too. We have a new gentleman in the office. I call him a young guy because he's younger than I am. Scott Williams, and Scott came in and showed me some things that we found very interesting. We've put together a program that really allows people, when the markets start to head south, the approved flyer, the words that I have said, does your advisor have the ability to move you 100% into cash when equity markets trend down? And it says, we do. And we have a program that allows us to see with pretty good accuracy which way these things are headed, and to move people into safe stuff when these things start to head south on them, and look and see what's doing well and move them in there. So if you're interested in a little more safety for your money,
who's not?
In our opinion,
who's not?
Give us a call.
And 215-0800.
0800.
Now, John, that's because a lot of people don't realize that they think they got their money in a certain area and it's going to be safe. But you and I have realized over the years, unless you keep things moved around appropriately, you will end up losing money. Over the long run, unless you have people that keep up with it. Is that true?
Yeah, people have they think sometimes the idea that you can't. And I've said before, it's time in the market, not timing the market, and it is time in the market, but it's not in the same thing all the time.
Okay, that's true. You got to diversify, and you got to keep things moving around,
and you have to look and see what's working and what's not. And we have a program in place that gives us the ability to do that, I think, pretty reliably.
All right.
Of course, nothing's perfect, and let me tell you that everything's 100%. It's a little noisy. I'm walking into a place right now.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're having a war going on.
Cell phones are wonderful till you're outside by Highway 98. Anyway, once again, that's if they want some more information on that, 215-0800. Give us a call. We've got to tell them how we do that.
All right, sounds good, John. I appreciate that.
Financial Services, LLC, remember FINRA-SIPC.
Oh, and all those other little alphabet soups there. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, John. Give him a call, 215-0800. That's John Johnson from Harper Financial Services. And they will be more than happy to help you, point you in the right direction. Kind of like, it doesn't cost anything for the test drive, but go talk to him. But what will cost you if you don't? That's the question you got to ask yourself. And speaking now, we're going to talk about. Last week on the first part of the show, we talked about do's and don'ts of doing a cooling system. And so on this show, on this part, where we want, if you don't have any car questions, we're going to be talking about that. Car questions, if you have them, call me at 850-763-0555. I almost had a blank on my phone number here. You can tell it's early Saturday morning here. But you can call us if you got a car question. But I was going to talk about brakes. Mistakes that do-it-yourselfers do, mistakes that shops do, mistakes that I've done, things that are so simple and so easy that you go, why didn't I think of that? Or why didn't I do that? The biggest thing I think that people do wrong about finding out they got brake problems is when they go to get a oil change. This is the biggest mistake I think people do, is denial. They don't like to realize they got a problem. Is when the brake fluid is low, they add brake fluid to it. Now, not so bad that you add brake fluid, but when brake fluid goes away, you better figure out where it went. Either it went away because the shoes and pads are wearing down, and they have, and it's being displaced. The fluid is now being inside the calipers and the wheel cylinders and whatever, and that's why the fluid's gone down. Or you've got a leak. Now, if you got a leak, that's not a good thing. If you got a leak on wheel cylinders, if it's just got on the wheel cylinders and got on the shoes, the bill is half the price of what it would cost if you have to wait till it gets on the shoes. And now you got a wheel that's locking up when you go into like a rainy day like today. If you got a wet set of shoes on one side on a day like today, your wheel will lock up on you, causing possibly a dangerous oversteer condition. It's like having a blowout on the rear end. You can't steer a rear wheel. So very, very important. The reason I know that is I got a Chevy truck. It's a little one I use back and forth to get alignments done. And I just noticed the other day when it was wet, I hit the brakes, the rear wheel locked up. I told my guy, I said, you better check it out. There's something wrong with my brakes back there. And he said, well, we just looked at it last week. I said, which wheel did you pull? And they said, we pulled the right rear. And I said, that's the one locking up. I said, I bet you knocked the dust out of it. And they go, yeah, we did. And I went, that's your problem. That's another mistake. We're going to talk more about do's and don'ts of the brake job when we get back. I got Harry with an 03 Dodge pickup. He's got an air conditioning question. Harry, what's your question about your 03 Dodge pick-em-up truck? What's it doing you don't like?
Well, it's always had a very good air conditioner, freeze you to death.
Yep, they do.
Okay, last week, I was sitting idling at a stop sign and it quit cooling.
Uh-oh.
And then I started off and came on home. We're going down I-10 and it started cooling like it normally does. And then when you stop, it stops cooling. It doesn't get real cold anymore, but when you're going down the highway, it cools just like it always has. What's the problem?
Well, you know what? That's probably the easiest question I've had asked to me all day. Matter of fact, it's the only question I've had asked to me all day. The problem is you've got, okay, on the Dodge truck, you got a 2003, 2004?
2003. Dodge Ram 1500.
Dodge 1500. Okay, you've got the radiator in the very front of the car. That's normal. But on your model car, you got the condenser off to the driver's side with a cooling fan right behind it. So when you turn your air conditioning on, that cooling fan comes on for the air conditioner around the condenser to pull air across it at low speeds to make it work. And now that cooling fan motor has burned up. You probably got about 70,000 miles on it approximately. That's about how long they last, 70 to 100,000 miles. And then they die. They don't work anymore. And so when you go down the highway, the air conditioner is great because you're moving air. But when you sit still, the cooling fan doesn't work. So now your high side pressure goes up to 280, 350, 400. Now the compressor shuts off till the pressure drops. Then it comes back on again. And that's what's happening. It'll short cycle on you, come on for a few seconds and shut off because it can't get rid of heat. That's your problem more than likely. And it could be just a fuses pop. But normally it's the cooling fan on the condenser on the passenger side. That's where
it's at. So I can't never stop again.
Well, you can stop again, but if you won't have any air conditioning if you stop, that's the only problem.
Well, it went out just like
it does.
All of a sudden it just quit doing that, but I said, oh my goodness, this air conditioner has been great.
And it still is good, but I am going to tell you, you say
so
you're
like cooling fans. That's pretty easy to get to.
Yeah, it's real easy to get to. It's like got 3 screws on it, but you're not going to like the price because you're going to have to buy it as an assembly. And you can't just
how much is a cooling fan?
I don't know what they cost, but you're going to have to get it. I recommend calling Napa if you want to do it yourself. Call Napa and see if they got it. I don't know if they even stock it as an assembly. A lot of times I get them from the dealership because, well, just the way they're designed. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But call the dealership and call Napa and see if they've got the assembly. I think that's how they come as an assembly. You can't. There's no little motor you can change. It comes with a plastic fan and it comes with a shroud. It comes with all that.
I see. So you got to buy all this stuff to go along with it.
That's how most cars are now. You don't change cooling fan motors.
Well,
you change the entire assembly.
It's fixing to turn into a brand new Explorer in about a month.
Wow, it's amazing. I didn't know Dodges could do that. I mean, they go from a Dodge to a Ford overnight. Wow.
Dodge going to sit on here on the farm. We're not going to run it hardly if we run up and down the highway. So you think it's my cooling fan?
Well, here's all you got to do. Go out to your car. Start your car up. Make sure the car is running at idle, and you see nothing. Don't have your air conditioning on first. Just make sure you start the car up. Now, have someone while you are sitting out there watching turn the air conditioning on. Have your wife or girlfriend or whatever turn it on. You'll see the compressor come on. As soon as that compressor comes on, usually in about 10 seconds, the cooling fan motor on the right hand on the condenser on the driver's side will come on when the pressure reaches around 200 psi. That's how it takes about 10 seconds for it to reach 200. As soon as it hits 200, the cooling fan comes on, bringing the pressures down to around 175 to 200. If it doesn't come on, it'll go 275, 300, 350, 400, and then it cuts off. At 400, I think it cuts off. It's got a high pressure switch that cuts it off the compressor as a safety. So that's probably what you've got going on. And it's a real easy fix if that's the case. It really is. But before you change it, you might want to have someone look at it and make sure it's not the fan relay, because it does have a fan relay. It does have one, and they do go bad. They carry a lot.
Could be a relay,
Could be a relay. So make sure you get it checked out first, okay? Make sure you
I appreciate it, James. Thank you very much.
All right, you're very, very welcome. You have a very good weekend in this drizzly, ugly Saturday morning out here. So give us a call, 850-763-0555. When we get back, I'm going to talk about the do's and don'ts of brakes. The do-it-yourselfers do wrong, when shops do wrong, and I've done wrong. We'll be right back. Give us a call, 763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.